GM everyone, and welcome back to a weekly episode of We in Web3, a podcast about you, me, and Zam, people who are building the future of Web3, people who are reshaping the way how we are interacting, connecting in digital ecosystem, from early developers to newcoming celebrities and advocates of this space. I'm your host, Nikita Tsikaliuk, and as always, we are building this space by people for people. Today with me, I have a friend of mine, Ty Greenfield. He's the host of NFT Chill, that is basically one of the top Web3 and one of the top traditional podcasts all around the world. It's in 2 percentile of the world statistics. And it's also NFT.NYC nominate for the best Web3 podcasts. Ty, I'm extremely happy to see you here today. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. We've been talking for a while in Web3, and it's really, I'm really stoked to be here and on your podcast and, to really to get this thing kicked off.
Amazing, amazing. I'm really happy to hear that, and I'm really happy that you're finally here. We've been in talks for a while. So let's start with this thing. Um, while analyzing your background and having a couple of friendly chats before, I realized that you're coming from a very traditional digital marketing, digital ecosystem that perhaps help you to better understand the Web3 space. You're a host of one of the biggest podcasts. You were a public speaker at some of the biggest conferences international, even though you're coming from the US. You're also a brand consultant and Web3 consultant for NFT projects, metaverse projects. How do you prefer to introduce yourself for the first time? Because wearing different hats at the same time might have some good effect on you and also some bad. So, how do you introduce yourself, my man?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Um, you know, my name is Ty Greenfield. My Web3 identity, I go by the mayor. But yeah, I'm the host and creator of NFT and Chill, and I'm also a Web3 consultant for a number of agencies and also NFT projects, brands, companies, what have you. That's kind of how I don't throw out too many titles because you know people in Web3, as you know, we do a lot. It's not just like, hey, I work for this company and this is my title. There's normally, there's Twitter Spaces. You work with organizations and other companies, and you do a lot of freelance stuff as well. So yeah, that would basically be how I would introduce myself. It's a
I
great
mean,
question though, especially for a podcast.
it seems like I really got your personality in Web3 pretty well, just naming all of these facts. I know that you also started from very bottom in Web3, from the sense that you were moderator of Twitter, Discord channels, you were admin for a couple of different projects. Basically, you were uh, touching the water, trying to explore the space. And when I'm referring to in the past, it's basically a couple of years ago. So you're also not that long ago in the space. So let me know how did actually your journey in Web3 started, and what is this catalyst that turned your way of thinking from Web2 to Web3?
Yeah, awesome question. I've been in investing for, a long time, probably 10, 15 years with stocks. And then cryptocurrency came along, probably what, '09, maybe 2010. And, like most people, it took me a few years to get into cryptocurrency. And I started investing in Ethereum and some Bitcoin. And then this whole AMC and the meme stock thing, that that came about during
I remember it.
yeah, the pandemic. That kind of got me. And then Dogecoin came out, and it seemed like everybody, like the world was kind of fed up with traditional banking and institutional investing, to where the game is rigged against people like us, the retail investors. So that's kind of what got me into cryptocurrency, like really, like Web3. You know, it's just we're trying to take out the middlemen. We're trying to give the power back to the consumer, back to the people, the retail investors. And that was what was really like, yeah, I think this space is, the future, but I also think it's like the perfect place for me because, you know, um, taking the middlemen, these like small group of people that are controlling these industries and like everything that happens like with consumers, it should be up to the consumers, like what movies get made, what music comes out, what music is popular, the art, what art is popular. So that's really what drew me to the space. But starting out, you're right. I was a collector of NFTs, and I fell in love with this project based Fish Mafia, and I got to know the artist and the founders, and I really had to work my way up. I told them about my background in social media, and they let me take over the Instagram just to start out. And I got the Instagram up, I think, like 1,500 followers in like a matter of a week,
It
all
seems like a
organically.
successful start for you. It's a good
Yeah,
way
for
to
sure.
introduce yourself.
Definitely. So it was all organically. So they ended up giving me, the Twitter, and then became the community manager not too long after that, and then the project manager. So I really started from within and from a collector's standpoint. I think that's the best way if you're trying to break into this space. Participate, be involved in Web3, like participate on Twitter, participate in your community projects, like in your discords, and start building relationships, networking. I mean, that's how I got involved. And then I started jumping on podcasts to promote the project. So I think I've been on probably 12 of them now. And people just said you should start your own podcast, because they enjoyed I guess my viewpoints and also the sound of my voice. So I never really thought about podcasting, and I never done it before either. So NFT and Chill was born in December of last year, and it really took off out of nowhere. And really, that is a testament to the Web3 community, the Base Fish Mafia community, and just like the community support in Web3. They started listening to the episodes, the people that knew me, and then they started telling people about the episodes and posting people about the podcast, posting on social media about it. And then it just really took off and got a mind of its own. So,
Oh,
um,
that's
yeah, I
my
mean, that's kind of my
mind-blowing
journey.
story. Wow. Were it Twitter Spaces or podcasts, though, in your case, how you started entering the space?
So I was a huge on Twitter Spaces for sure. For with the project, we would do weekly AMAs on Twitter, but then I was also, Twitter Spaces back in last September, November, October, December was huge. I mean, everybody was in Twitter Spaces, and I
It's
really enjoyed.
basically the highest point of the bull market, like
Yeah,
basically when you could flip any NFT, any land, and make 2x at night. Yeah, that's crazy.
absolutely.
Wow, that's a really inspiring story, and I would like to elaborate on it a bit more. I would like for my community to also better understand how risky move was it for you to move from Web 2 to Web 3? And here, I mean, have you already made some profit from trading, investing into crypto or collecting NFTs? And you know that, you know what, I have some money, I'm good for the next year or whatsoever. So let's try something here. Or it was like 100% risk taking, high risk, high reward moment when you thought that I'm just gonna do it regardless of what the outcome gonna be.
That's a fantastic question.
I have a lot of those today, so be prepared.
I'm here for it. So, yeah, I mean, I have made, a fair amount of money investing in stocks and especially in cryptocurrency and NFTs. I mean, really during the bull market, August, September, October. Those were the golden age of NFTs. It seems like so long ago now.
Exactly.
But yeah, I made a good amount of money, but I've been working remotely for probably the last 4 years. So Web3 was definitely an easy transition for me on that side because I love working
Okay.
remote. And luckily, I had a project that took me on and actually paid me because I mean I know there's a lot of stuff going on in Web3 where people aren't getting paid, fair amounts, and we can get into that later because it's a very unregulated space. It is the Wild West. But yeah, they were paying me a fair amount, and it really just took off from there. And I love the space so much. I love the mission of Web3 and kind of the mindset that people have in this space. So I just said to myself, you know what? If I really put my mind to it, that then I can make a career out of this. And with the podcast and the consulting, and that I have done that so far, and it keeps getting better. So yeah, I really I did take a chance, but I definitely had money saved up. So that that
Love it.
that answers your question.
Yeah, love it. And if I got it right from you, the mission of Web3 space that you're referring to is basically giving more decision-making, co-creation power to community and be driven by this group of people instead of one person or one organization as it is in traditional world. Am I right?
Yeah, that I mean that's basically it. You know, taking giving the power back to the people, the consumers, and it's also like creators, giving creators more freedom to create what they want and what they want to put out there, but also giving creators more of the lion's share from what they're doing. If somebody makes art like behind me, instead of giving a gallery 50 to 60% of what they sell in Web3 in NFTs, they get, you know, 100% of that, and then whatever they have to pay their team and or
Exactly.
like royalties and stuff like that. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's it's better
Cool.
for everything.
Basically, the reason I'm asking you all these questions about entering the space is really simple. I'm trying to explain to all newcomers, whether it will be on stage, off stage, that the space itself, regardless, talking about NFTs, DAOs, metaverse, gamify, the space is extremely early right now. And there is no right or wrong thing to do right now. But there is a missing opportunity that people who are not participating in are feeling. And there is such a thing as just learning how the space explore. You don't need to have a check of thousands of dollars, or you don't need to spend 24 hours in front of your screen to actually understand what is going on there. But what you need to do is to have courage, is to have this feeling of curiosity in addition to it, to dive deeper into the space of unknown, the dark ocean you being a small fish and actually exploring what are other fishes who have been there for a year, 2 years, 3 years are doing. NFT space, the Web3 space as we know it right now, with digital lands, with decision making given to community, it's been built there in the last couple of years. Before that, there were some tries, but right now it's getting its power. And it's going to take another 5, 10, 15, 20 years before we get the final form. And before that, it's going to be adjusted a lot of time. So your example is a perfect way to explain to people that you don't need to be a millionaire to join the space. You don't need to have a follow base of thousands, tens of thousands of people at the beginning. You can start from zero. We all start there from zero. Unknown to the space, unknown to people, and we're greening our way up. That's basically what I'm hearing from you. So huge props to you because reaching 2 percentile of podcasts worldwide, being represented around all global stages, and what is more important, doing what you love. That's a huge achievement. So congrats to you. I know that talking about achievements, yesterday when we were planning our podcast, you achieved a very decent result in the space. So feel free to share it with my audience because I do believe that's something that everyone should be aware of.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, the NFT and Chill reached 50,000 downloads in, a very short amount of time for podcasts, in 30 episodes. And,
Just wow.
yeah, it's really incredible. Sometimes it can take years for a podcast to even hit 1,000 downloads. You know, so I'm very grateful to the people listening, to all the awesome guests who've come on the show, who've helped make the listeners of NFT and Chill some of the most informed people in the space. So yeah, it's a big testament to people listening in the community.
Congrats once again, brother. It's a big achievement. And for all of you to actually understand, it is Ty's 31st episode here with me that is going to also air soon. I know that we're having a podcast, that we're having an episode on your podcast shortly after my show here. And just for you to understand, you haven't missed a lot. Those episodes can be watched in a matter of days, weeks. So actually, for you to explore Ty's journey and understand better his vision behind Web3 space, it's all there. So go check it out, subscribe, and download. Become the 50,000 and the first downloader there. Ty, while introducing yourself, you mentioned term collector a couple of times. So let me know whether you have also some experience in traditional collecting, whether we're talking about Pokemon cards, some Yu-Gi-Oh chips, or whatsoever. And what does it mean for you to be a long-term, let's say, diamond-handed collector in Web3 space?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another fantastic question. I have been a collector traditionally. I think that's the thing about NFTs and just collecting in general. It never really goes out of style. People have been collecting things for 100 years now. And yeah, I was very into like baseball cards, especially when I was younger. I still have them to this day, and I absolutely love. It's very difficult to not collect, as I think it's just something ingrained in the human condition. So yeah, I was a collector of baseball cards and NFTs. I've started collecting NFTs. I don't even know how many I have now. It's probably around 100 NFTs. But then that's something I wanted to kind of tell your audience, especially for new people getting in. It shouldn't matter about the clout of these projects or how much these projects are worth. If you enjoy the art, that go find some NFT artists that you love what they're making, and collect some of that. If there's some utility out there that you think is cool, collect some of that. Get involved with these communities. Build some relationships, and that's really how this space goes. You know, you get involved, you start participating on the social media, you jump in some discords or maybe some telegram groups, and you just you start just putting yourself out there. Collect some NFTs from some projects. They don't even have to be expensive ones. It's just something that you like. That's the thing. If I have an NFT, I have to like the art. And I know that's like kind of not like big right now. Like everybody was like, man, it's all about the money and the
Exactly.
investing part. But I can't have an NFT in my wallet if I don't like the art.
Exactly, exactly. I don't know if you have noticed it, but basically, what you have just done is provided my audience with one-on-one guidance on how to enter the space. So, guys and girls, don't focus too much on money. There are some projects, especially during bull market, every second project you're going to make a lot of money, but at the end of the day we're looking at this space from this utility based standpoint. If social media wouldn't be about some internal features like connecting, chatting, having calls, posting, etc., it wouldn't be that popular anymore. Web3 right now is still extremely early, and we all these brands entering the space, all these crypto and blockchain based companies, they're building something here to last for years. That's why what I'm saying at every of my episode is that we're building the space by people for people. We're building something that will be relevant here in years from now, something that you and me would enjoy using, not just creating it for the sake of existence, but for the sake of using and actually enjoying the space. And that's basically what Ty just said by collecting into NFT space, being active for you in Web3 space. So let me ask, since you already touched upon the topic of NFTs, do you collect only based on the art itself, or you're also a collector from utility standpoint? And if so, what are some of the projects that you currently hold that you're a proud member of?
Yeah. So yeah, the art for me, like the NFT definitely has to look cool or something that I kind of resonate with. Um, so it's great supporting artists in the space. The Tezos blockchain has a lot of really cool stuff going on with actual art,
Last couple of
and
weeks was crazy
yeah,
for Thesis, definitely.
for sure. It's about the artists. It's about like the one and ones and like the small collections. Like that's very cool. So if there's somebody who an artist on Twitter and you like what they tweet about, or and you also like their art, going and supporting them. It's also not that expensive on Tezos at all. That's cool as well. Uh, but then as far as utility, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some great utility in the space. And there's a project called Surge. It is a women's led organization. They've actually been on NFT and Chill. And, I definitely love what they have going on. They have great utility. They are onboarding and also empowering women in Web3. They're finding jobs in Web3 for women and really just creating a space. And there's a lot of awesome utility. I got just for having a Surge passport is what their NFT is called. I got like $100 credit with Unstoppable Domains. So I got a bunch of free domains just for having it. But they also have like Web3 courses, and they have a jobs board. They have a consulting marketplace, which I'm also on as well. You can book me as a consultant through Surge. So yeah, Surge is a great project. I of course I have a bunch of base Fish Mafia, which is kind of my first love. So I'll always be very in tight with the team and the community because they helped, especially NFT and Chill, get to where we are here. And there's Wag Me Wine, which is a friend of mine's project, but what it does is they, if you have their NFT, which they have a different artist from the NFT space come on each month to do like a small drop, and you can burn their NFT. It's on Tezos, so and then you get an actual bottle of wine sent to you with like the NFT label on the bottle. So that's a very cool utility. So yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that in the space that you can really just fall in love with it, the
I mean, I
collecting.
see that there is definitely a lot of stuff that you're having as a collector, you're enjoying as a collector, because even though you're uh, talking about this Wagmi wine, for example, you're supporting the brand, you're having perhaps some other utilities later on, but you also have this option to have some physical goodies. And in your case, it's even physical collection, which is perfectly fine. I also believe that in case of base Fish Mafia or Surge, it's also a perfect case where you were supporting the brand at the beginning, and at a certain point of time, you being at this top percentile of supporters, of contributors, ambassadors, or just holders, you actually are benefiting the most. You're not just getting some airdrops or some t-shirts of this project, which is the most favorite utility, I would say, in year 2022 for sure. But you actually have a part in the team, whether it will be full-time, part-time, uh, employee part there, or actually you can contribute to the brand itself, the core team are listening to your feedback. They are inviting you to some in real life events, happy to chat with you during conferences. And that's a perfect example. I'm really happy that I asked this question because perhaps those NFTs are not in top 10, top 100 on OpenSea marketplace or Tezos, but those are the ones who are actually delivering, in some cases even over delivering, at least those that I know, in sense of giving back to community and bringing some value, spreading it throughout around the world. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. If I could just add one more that I didn't want to leave out.
Absolutely. Go on.
There's this project called Meta Bunny, and it it's a very inexpensive project that you can get on either Polygon or Ethereum. And what they do if you have their NFT is you get this desktop pet. Now, I don't know if you're familiar or your audience is familiar with Tamagotchi, the little
Absolutely.
like pet you used to
Absolutely.
have on those things. But it's kind of like that, except it's for your laptop or computer. So it's a very cool utility that's unique and it's very inexpensive to be a part of this project. And I have this little meta bunny that hangs out on my computer screen and he eats, he dances, he like you can like bounce him around the screen. You can it's really kind of cool. And it's just some unique utility in the space.
I guess you showed me it before. It's really cool. Uh, what are some of traditional brands that are currently entering this space or exploring it, whether through NFT collections or maybe some partnerships that you are the most interested in through innovative standpoint, or maybe you were about to enter those? I do believe that everyone knows brands like Nike, who are dominating the space through Artifact, Clonex,
Yeah.
Adidas, Puma recently 2 weeks ago. Entered the space with their NFT, and actually, I don't know if you have seen. I followed them to check out what was this innovation to the space. But yesterday, it was the end of New York Fashion Week, and Puma was closing the show there. And basically, during their presentation of past and future of Puma brand, they were representing digital products as well. Some of the digital products will be available only to its NFT holders, which is a very unique way to redeem products, something that is extremely limited in the amount of supply. And they even recreated this digital show through Metaverse with the help of my friends, Future World. They recreated this show for people who cannot come to New York, and that's something that I have not seen before. It doesn't sound that complicated, but taking into account the fact that actually the products that were presented there, sneakers, will be also redeemable later on only for NFT holders, sounds something innovative. So let me know what are some of these most innovative, interesting things that you have heard about traditional brands entering the space, and perhaps some of those that you're closely following right now.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of a love hate relationship for me. Because what I love about Web3, NFTs, DeFi, all of that, is that it's about community. And it's any one person from anywhere in the world, no matter who they are, as long as they have an internet connection, they can be a part of what's happening here. They can grow to as big as they want. I had 0 followers on Twitter last year, so they can they can go to those heights in this space, and it's really because of support. Like if people supporting each other, people, that is what this space is about. But in brands and celebrities and people like that coming in, that's awesome, because it helps with awareness. It brings more people in, and it gets us closer to mass adoption. So that's what I love about it. I always worry about brands and celebrities and all of that getting too much influence, too much power, and we repeating Web 2. So, but other than that, the awareness, education, and all of that is really great for the space. So that's why it's kind of a love hate thing. But as long as people are out there supporting each other, you see some artist or a podcast host or somebody like that who doesn't have a massive following, but you think they are doing awesome stuff in the space, support them. Retweet their stuff, tell people about what they have going on. That is how we combat all the stuff that's happened in Web 2 that we didn't like. But as for brands, I'm kind of excited to see what Disney does on Polygon. That I love all the stuff that's happening on L2s of Ethereum,
The same here.
and Polygon. I think Polygon, they definitely have a lot of work to do as far as the network and reliability. But the fact that they're an L2 on Ethereum, I think, is a very smart move for any altcoin in this space, especially with Ethereum and all their updates that are coming. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. But also Mercedes is getting involved with Polygon as well. So that stuff like that is cool to see. All these like brands, huge companies, Fortune 500 companies coming into the space should tell the world something about what's happening here. You know, this is going to be a very big space. People are projecting, $100 trillion business, industry in 5 to 10 years. So, millions of jobs will be opening up in this space. So, yeah, I know Old Navy did an NFT collection about a month ago. So, yeah,
Okay.
brands keep coming in, but I'm pretty excited to see what this Disney stuff does.
Yeah, it's the same here. I'm a huge Marvel supporter and Marvel fan. I've been reading almost all Spider-Man comics starting from the age of 4. So I'm really intrigued to see, let's put it like this, what's the role of IP, Disney IP, gonna play in the whole space? And that's actually one of the questions that I'm about to ask you a bit later, because earlier this month I had uh, an interview with Jeremy Padawer, who's basically one of the biggest IP advocates and facilitator in all around the world. He's the guy who brought right now Pokemon, who is responsible for Pokemon IP in the US. He's responsible for all elite wrestling IP. And the chat that we had with him is that actually perhaps for these traditional businesses whose main revenue stream is centered around this IP rights, a good move for them would be to create a Web3 native character with its own IP, whether it will be CCO or anything else. And let's discuss it in a couple of minutes. But one thing that I wanted to say is I really enjoy that the topic of this podcast with you here today is all things Web3. You had 30 episodes already
Mhm.
behind your shoulders and 10 times more further on. And the beauty of it is definitely that you're well connected with people from different industries, from different topics, with different point of view. And I'm really enjoying chatting with you about all possible topics here today because usually in Web3, when you're connecting with someone, there is a specific niche a person is all around. In your case, I do believe it's the whole Web3.
Yeah.
Since we're since we're right now connecting with you through Zoom, let me ask the following question. What is your take on Twitter and Discord? Do you prefer one platform over another, or do you think that neither of them is going to be the Web3 native media in the next, let's say, 10 years from now?
Fantastic question. So, Twitter and Discord, it's really two different things. Twitter is, you know, Discord is more where like your NFT projects, your brands, your companies, where their communities live. Um, Twitter is more of on a global stage. That's where like the Web3 community lives. So yeah, it's very tough to say if it's going to be here in or where Web3 is living years from now because we need a lot more actual decentralization in this space.
Exactly, exactly.
We have a lot of people and we have a lot of platforms and people masquerading as decentralized, but it's fake DeFi. Uh, it's not decentralized yet. There are some fully decentralized platforms out there, like there is a social media platform that I just got on. It's called Logcast, uh, but it's new. I met the founder and creator when I was a speaker at the Global NFT Summit, Lenny. So that is we need a lot more decentralization. So, we don't have a lot right now where it's actually because, look what happened during the crash to these fake decentralized protocols and platforms like Voyager and Luna and these platforms. The actually like Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange, they did very well during the crash. So yeah, I and it also like when somebody has the lion's share of this, like the market share, like OpenSea. We've seen so many marketplaces come into this space to try and be the NFT marketplace, and they just can't seem to get it away from OpenSea. OpenSea has the market share, just like Twitter right now has the market share of like the Web3 community. But LinkedIn has done very well. But none of these are decentralized, so it will be interesting to see what we are doing because Web3, like you know, Web3 is kind of a catch-all. Like it's really a culture right now. Like
Exactly.
um, nobody really knows what Web3 is. It's just like if you are involved in DeFi or crypto or NFTs or decentralization, then you are in Web3. It's a catch-all. It's the culture.
Exactly. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everyone is going to be in one way or another. The question is, when have you entered this? Early enough, or late? That's all.
Yeah, because you really can't stop progress. And it's a brave new world out here. So
Absolutely.
eventually, people are going to be in Web3, whether they know it or not. And I think that's the best thing. Like, if somebody doesn't know they're in Web3, that's great for mass adoption and bringing new people in.
Exactly. Exactly. You need to be cautious in this brave new world that you just referred to Web3, but at the same time, you need to have this sense of curiosity that is going to outweigh this cautious and allow you to actually risk. I strongly believe that unless you lose something, whether it will be some funds, whether it will be some time there or whatsoever, unless you lose something, you don't get the sense of Web3. Like up until the moment you're just making money with this NFTs or digital world or some of crypto trades, you have seen nothing. You actually need to feel how is it when you're losing, that it's real money that you're playing around, that you're gambling or whatsoever. At least it helped me to much better understand the space and understand what's actually worth testing out and not. Uh,
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's just when you see something that's new, that people are involved in, like what's happening here with crypto and all this stuff. It's very natural to be hesitant, and because I mean that's how most of us were when we first saw something about this space. What is that? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it.
mhm.
But you know, what people like myself, and I'm sure you and a lot of people in this space did, is they just started kind of researching and learning, a little bit each day. And, places like YouTube, that's a great avenue for it. I mean, take some of
Absolutely.
this stuff with a grain of salt and, cross reference and just keep watching stuff. But, there is a YouTube channel that I really enjoyed, especially in the beginning, and I still watch to this day, is called Whiteboard Crypto. They break, every part of this space down very simply with not only audio but visual as well. So, depending on what type of learner you are, that's a great place to, learn more about the space. And that's really just what you have to do. And then, once
Absolutely.
you have enough knowledge, then you can start taking more steps. But the biggest thing about this space, at least for me, is to be patient. Being patient, like I mean, that's why it's called NFT and Chill. Like we're relaxed over here. Like we're very patient in this space. I've been probably the one of the most patient people in this space.
Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
that's right
subscribe to
word.
FOMO. FOMO and like moving too quickly is how most people get scammed or get taken advantage of in this space. It's because they're moving too fast. So slow down, be patient. There are definitely going to be a lot more opportunities in Web3 and NFTs and in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's brilliant take here. I do feel that I'm saying absolutely too much during this podcast, but that is just this inner feeling that I agree with you that yes, that is true, that we're so much on the same page with you. And just brilliant. There are plenty of different platforms, starting with Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn recently is growing steadily. I mean, just choose the platform you want to focus on, you want to learn from. I started with Twitter Spaces by, let's say, Nifty Portal, Rag Radio, and a lot of guys. Like these days, it was hundreds of guys, even tens of those. Now it's thousands of them coming there, sharing their ideas, sharing their vision. Everyone is given an opportunity to express their thoughts, to exchange ideas. YouTube, the same. Learn how to do it, how to download the MetaMask, how to buy your first NFT. But at the same time, don't expect that everything you're going to hear there is actual 100%. No one knows what the space is going to hold there in a couple of days from now. You mentioned examples of Luna, Celsius. Those things happen like this. And there were some of the biggest companies, biggest funds with tens, hundreds of millions there. And even they go down simple like this. Actually, today we have another big day to celebrate with you. Exactly 7 hours ago, it was the ETH Merge. You're trying to remember, well, what is the day? It's ETH Merge, and I know that a lot of people, especially from the US, were waking up early in the morning or late at night just to witness what is going on there. Of course, nothing hugely happened at this moment that you can actually feel. Non-price fluctuation, nothing that you can already test out. But it is, in my opinion, the biggest fundamental, from this technical part, change in the whole, perhaps even Web3 space, crypto for sure, because ETH moved from proof of work to proof of stake. More efficient, faster. That's basically the way how all these layers too, that you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, have their life, have interaction with Ethereum to further on expand, whether it will be through NFTs, soul-bound tokens, DAOs, or whatsoever. So let me know, what is your take about crypto market right now, and what is your take about ETH? Is the actual king or not? Because the first tweet that I made earlier today was hail Ethereum, the new king. That's how I feel. Let me know, what is your take here.
Well, I someone dubbed me the Ethereum Crusader. So in a Twitter space a few months, probably like 8 months ago. So that nickname has definitely stuck. I am a big proponent and advocate of Ethereum. I think this merge was great for the network, but also crypto and DeFi as a whole. Yeah, the energy usage is going down 99.5%, which is next to nothing. The Ethereum is essentially going to be green. That's huge because that quite possibly can bring companies and people who had an issue with Ethereum's energy usage into the fold. So that's great for the environment. I think that's awesome. But what it also does is it takes the miners out of the equation, which is going to reduce selling pressure of Ethereum, because every single month thousands and thousands of miners are rewarded with Ethereum, with Ether, and they sell it. They sell it to pay electricity bills. They sell it for profit. So with all of that selling pressure being taken out of Ethereum, and Ethereum essentially becoming deflationary, this is all great for the Ethereum network. And we're also another step closer to the sharding process, which is going to take that one, Ethereum chain where all the transactions are processed on, and it's going to split it up. What sharding does is it splits up that one chain and splits it up into thousands, tens of thousands of chains, all of which can process thousands and thousands of transactions simultaneously. So what that will do is reduce the gas fees down to very minimal, next to nothing. So that process, the sharding process, is supposed to take place within a year after the merge, which just happened last night. So you know, it's a very exciting time to be in this space and to be building in this space. But yeah, I'm very bullish on Ethereum. I mean, this is not financial advice, but
Definitely not
the
financial
merge takes
advice.
the energy usage down. The sharding is going to speed up transactions. It's going to bring the gas down next to nothing. It will make it so, you know, if there it'll Ethereum will be able to process more transactions per second than credit cards. So when it gets to that point, because right now credit card transactions is not green. Like the energy usage, like I used to hear people, I don't use Ethereum because it uses all this energy and it's bad for the planet. Well, if you use debit or credit cards, you are adding to that. So, Ethereum, no energy, no gas fees. I mean, this is a year from now, maybe two. No gas fees, faster transactions, more transaction speed than credit cards. I mean, that's huge, and it's on a global scale. It brings everyone, and this is DeFi as a whole in crypto. It brings everyone on the same playing field. So whether you are in South America, Africa, United States, North America, anywhere, with Ethereum or Bitcoin or these cryptocurrencies, we're all on the same playing field monetarily. Um, so I'm very excited for Ethereum. But
Love
yeah,
it.
and I also have a theory, and a friend of mine, Canna Pope, who was on my podcast, shares this theory, and I do think that Ethereum has detached itself from Bitcoin price wise. I think that started to happen at the beginning of the year, to where you used to be able to, if Bitcoin was up, then Ethereum was up. If Bitcoin was down, then Ethereum was down. And I think those have started to separate itself a lot of late, and I think that's just incredible for Ethereum as a whole. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm very bullish on the
So
future.
Ethereum is king. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Absolutely.
What are some protocols, some other cryptos that you're supporting on the market and you believe will remain relevant in the next couple of years or even more?
I love what Chainlink is doing, and Claros. Uh, you know, they're doing some really cool stuff in this space. The Claros court, the proof of humanity stuff. I mean, there's just some very cool things happening in the space, and the L2s on Ethereum, like Polygon, and of course Tezos is doing some awesome stuff for artists and art. I really think that L2s on Ethereum is the way to go, because these altcoins and these cryptocurrencies that aren't Bitcoin and that aren't Ethereum, um, especially with what Ethereum is doing with the merge and then the sharding process, and then more updates after that, it's going to get to a point where being the alternative to Ethereum is redundant. Um, why do we need an alternative to Ethereum when Ethereum is the most reliable network? It's never been down. It is, it's safer and it's faster. It's got no energy usage, no gas fees. When we get to that point, being an altcoin, an alternative to Ethereum, it's not going to be great. So I think these other cryptocurrencies, these altcoins, need to have an identity, like Tezos. Tezos' identity right now is art, artists, one in ones, small collections. It's a very art centric community,
Cheap, also
and it's cheap.
relatively cheap.
Yeah, but it's art centric and it's community driven. Polygon is an L2 on Ethereum's network. So these other coins, i.e., Solana, need to have an identity because you got to figure out what their niche is. Because Ethereum is going to be a juggernaut once these updates could get through.
Otherwise, they're just one of thousands others, and there is no sense. Wow, that was a really good take about the whole market, like what is going on there, and what is your take about the role of crypto for their own. Glad that you dived that deep into Ethereum ecosystem. Definitely supporting it. At the end of the day, that is sound money, that is ultra sound money that we're forcing in the space. Let me know, as I promised earlier today, to come back to this topic. What is your take around IP rights in Web3, and how should it be done in the right way, according to you?
Love this. IP is huge. I'm a big fan of IP in this space. If I look at a NFT project, I want the intellectual property. Like with Base Fish Mafia, I own the intellectual property
And we
of
can
those
see
NFTs. Yeah, of the
it.
image. So when you see in my logos and in my branding, I have my NFTs. Those are, I have 100% commercial usage of that image, not the brand name Base Fish Mafia, but that image. So I think that's huge in this space, and I know there's a lot of projects that do it. But you definitely need to get clarity on what this IP that you are getting means. Make sure that you take a picture of the policy that they have in their Discord or on their website. Because right now it's like the Wild West. People aren't trademarking things, they're not copywriting things, they're not doing all this stuff right now. But that's going to change, and it could get bloody. So just making sure that you're covered in this space is a smart play. As far as how IP should be done, I'd like to see it more on a world stage because Web3 is worldwide and it brings us all closer together. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see world policy instead of country to country policy, but that we're probably very far off from that because centralized bodies like to control everything. So, seeing it on a world stage, especially with like trademarks and copyright, would be huge. But we're so far from that, and there's so many moving parts to getting to that point. Um, but yeah, just making because I did an episode with a really great lawyer, Web3 lawyer in this space, John Dunsmore, came on NFT and Chill, and that's a really great episode, especially if you're building in this space. But yeah, I mean that's kind of my take. Just know what you're getting, know what you can and can't do with it. That's yeah.
Cool. I mean, you can see clearly from my reaction that there is still so many funny things in the space, unstable things, things that gonna change throughout the time. But if there is one thing that I got from our conversation today with you, that it's basically building around people. It's giving more decision-making power for people, giving more rights of collections that people own to them themselves. So, uh, what is your take about perhaps the most decentralized community driven voting mechanism there right now on the market? And of course, I'm talking about DAOs. Are you a member of any DAOs yourself? And do you believe that DAO is basically the way how new coming companies to Web3 will operate for their own to give this equal piece of pie to each participant?
Yeah, I am a member of a couple of DAOs. And decentralized autonomous organizations are definitely, it's definitely an interesting thing. And I have done an episode on that as well. And you
That's also
know,
why I'm asking you, because you've done episodes on all of these topics, and I know
yeah,
that you have your own take and you have a take of a couple of other guests. So go on.
yeah. No, that's very cool. I like that. So yeah, I mean, it can, there are some banking institutions that are looking into to DAOs as well, because I mean, yeah, if you have 1,000 customers and you can give all them or some of them voting rights, some have more than others depending on their status in the organization, and then they get to tell you firsthand what feedback, and you get to implement it. And people memberships and DAOs, you have a say in what happens in that NFT project or that organization. So yeah, it definitely gives the consumer, the member, a say in what happens and the kind of in what happens moving forward with the project, the company, the organization, and I think there's a chance that we could see a lot more of this in on the banking side, because I know, why not? If like a credit union is similar, has a similar structure to a DAO. So yeah, I think they're great. I think we're early in a lot of the stuff that's happening with it, and there are like there's not like full DAOs. There's like half DAOs or like Web 2.5 DAOs. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it, but I do think it is a great way for the community to kind of take on ownership of something and then be able to you know say what happens moving forward with the
Um,
organization or project. So yeah,
Love it.
it's interesting for sure.
Cool. I mean, that's the way how it should go. And once again, no one actually knows what the space gonna look like. I just came from Warsaw 2 weeks ago, East Warsaw, where I was presenting with Nadia Alvarez, who is the head of growth at MakerDAO, and being on the main stage with Zolda, the biggest DAO, one of the biggest representative of this DAO, and hearing from her that for them, MakerDAO in a certain way is an experiment, because no one knows what the whole Web3 space, the DAO space, is going to look like further on. So they're experimenting, they're adding new features, they're listening to community feedback. And when you hear it from people who are actually building those biggest projects, biggest brands, that's like a mind blowing. Wow, that's how I should approach this space. Not like caring about every smaller NFT, every smaller project that will be there, whether it's gonna remain in 10 years from now. Nah, it's not gonna remain. It's gonna go down. A lot of it gonna go down. But that is the way how you test out the waters. That is the way how you learn about it. And actually today with you, we're learning everything about NFTs, DAOs, about the whole Web3 space, which is also the title of this podcast. I guess the very last topic, the subtopic of Web3 that I would like to just briefly touch upon is gamify industry and the games in Web3. I know that your latest anniversary episode was around this topic, so share with us some latest alpha from your
Yeah,
side.
the gaming industry is definitely an interesting topic in Web3, because you'd think it would be a no-brainer for video games and gaming in this space. There's so many similarities, but it just hasn't taken off yet. And a lot of that is the gamers are very comfortable with what they have and what they're doing. So these huge studios, you know, they don't want to change that, and that's understandable. But I think this is Web3 and is the perfect space, because it gives you, the gamer, so much more ownership and freedom in this space. So I just right now it's college kids and people in an apartment building games for NFT projects. If if Rockstar or Blizzard or these huge gaming studios got in this space and started putting out these AAA games, that also brings in a lot more people into this space and steps closer to mass adoption. But the thing about gaming in this space is if I own a game, like if I have a digital copy of a game on my Xbox or on my computer, I can't resell that. If I have the physical copy, I can. But if I have the digital copy, it's just there. If I never play that game again, it's just there. So, like, do I actually? Yeah, I own it, but I can't do everything I want to do with it because if I wanted to sell it, I can't.
It's basically a
And the
question of
same,
interoperability, being
yeah,
able to move your assets, move your achievements. And I do believe it's not only legit for a gaming industry, but for social status. You
absolutely,
opting out from Twitter doesn't guarantee nothing at all.
yeah,
YouTube blocking your activities erases all your progress in the recent years and what comes next. So it's a perfect example in gaming industry specifically.
absolutely. And if you have accessories in a game, like people will spend sometimes hundreds, thousands of dollars on accessories in a game, like clothing for your character or weapons or vehicles. And if you stop playing that game 9 months from now, that hundreds or thousands of dollars you spend is just there. You can't
Like
resell it.
this.
You can't transfer it to another player who's just finding the game. And I think that's where like NFTs and Web3 and all this comes into play because if if it was more in the Web3 space, that piece of clothing would be an NFT and you could transfer it to another player. You could resell it. So I definitely think eventually these big studios will start getting involved and the gaming industry will be on the blockchain. So we'll see. I'm very optimistic in this space, and I'm also
Got it.
very patient. So
If there is one thing, and I really appreciate you answering in such detail manner, if there is one thing that I realized from you while chatting today, is that you're extremely optimistic. You're extremely positive about the future, but at the same time, you are not rushing it. You're enjoying the moment. Perhaps that's why the name of your podcast is NFT and Chill. It's basically enjoying being there, being active, but being prepared for what comes next. The question is, what comes next for the whole Web3 space? Where do you see this space in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? And what role does Ty Greenfield have in this whole ecosystem?
great question. So yeah, I mean the future of Web3 and like crypto, DeFi, NFTs, I really see you know the transfer of ownership and proof of ownership factor being much more involved and kind of the on the spotlight for this space. Like right now it's NFTs and like art and stuff, but um and other things. But um the spellbound token is something that is very interesting. Like, that segues into having your birth certificate or your driver's license, like these very important documents that you want to make sure that people can't copy them, that there's no fraud, and that they're safe. That's what I see this space moving. Is definitely proof of ownership and transfer of ownership. Like, a vehicle should come with an NFT instead of me having to go on Kelly Blue Book or all these websites to see what, like, if I buy a used car, what that car has had done to it, if it's been in accidents. I just think NFTs is the way to go, and that's like what the everyday person can use this for. If I have a baseball card that has an NFT with it and can prove the ownership and its authenticity, and then you can transfer. The transfer of ownership of it is much easier as well, and it's unique. Like, there's if an NFT has a unique code that can't be duplicated. So if I buy a watch, especially like a Rolex, or you know if I you can do this with anything. A really cool pair of shoes, a limited edition pair of shoes, like they should have an NFT with it that proves the ownership, that authenticates it, has a log attached to it, so that you know when it was made, if it's been repaired, anything like that. That's what I think. The use case and this technology for the masses, like that's what I see moving forward.
What is your role there? Are you still a collector? Are you still an educator, advocate for the space, or there is some end game that you are aiming for when you say, you know what, I'm good enough right now?
Yeah, my role there is consumer. Like when I buy a car, I'd like to have an NFT with it. But as far as like me in the space, I am have been an educator. I like educating new people and onboarding new people and making sure people have the tools to be safe in this space. So, I'll definitely be still doing the podcast. That has been a very cool experience for me, something that I love doing. And I love the community and all the listeners. That has been incredible.
Brilliant.
Still doing some consulting and Twitter spaces, and who knows if Twitter's going to be around. But yeah, and speaking at conferences and getting to go to, meeting people at conferences and at these IRL events. Yeah, I'm very content with what I'm doing. I try not to get too far ahead of myself or think about what's to come, because the best laid plans of mice and men.
Day by day.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically day
very
by
in the moment.
day. There is one very good thought that I'm trying to follow throughout the life is that actual life that is something that happens to you while you're planning your next steps. That's what is called life. So you're living it to its fullest, my man. So definitely congrats to you. And you have one of the how Cinderella stories starting from the bottom and actually entering relatively late compared to some other OGs, but still entering it and building from grounds and building to the top. So, what is this one thing that you would suggest all boys and girls watching us today, whether newcomers to the space or actually been there for a while, how to achieve this self-satisfaction in Web3 space and how to grow big, how to better understand the space?
Yeah, I would say being patient has been a great asset for me, and just try not to get too emotional, especially like with investing or trading or anything. I really don't get emotional when trading, because that is like the worst thing you can do, especially with investments. But being patient in this space has been big, and just participating, like participate in what's happening in Web3. Add to the conversation on Twitter. If you're looking to get engagement on your stuff, engage with people. Engage to get engagement. Join in the Twitter spaces. Speak up in your communities. Just add to Web3. That's build relationships. If you can get to some of these IRL events, um, do it, because it's incredible meeting people in IRL.
Love it.
People that you've been conversating with in Discord and on Twitter and all these social media, getting to meet them in the world, face to face. That's incredible. So yeah.
Another thing that is really incredible is the way how you are replying to all of these questions. For all of you listening to us here today, I have never shared this big amount list of questions with Ty previously, and that is basically a nature-born Web3 leader who actually understands the space, and you can feel it from the deepness of these questions. I would like to give the last one, the most, let's say, the most tricky one, just to feel your sentiment for the future. Even though I'm pretty well understanding, I'm pretty sure that I'm understanding what is the future holds for you and for the whole Web3 space. Just imagine a situation where you're in an elevator and you have 10 to 15 seconds to actually explain to a big business partner, investor, why Web3 is the future and why he or she should enter the space already today in September 2022. What would be this quick speech about Web3?
All right. If you're honestly, if you're tired of the way things have been going in these industries, in banking, in finance, film, music, all of that for the last 100 years, and you think that you've gotten a bad rap, then Web3 and DeFi and crypto and everything that's happening right now is definitely for you. If you're, the United States dollar and a lot of fiat currency, native currency depreciates because they just print it when they need it. They go into debt. These countries go into debt severely. So if you're tired of that and you want a little bit more ownership, you want a little bit more say in what happens and less censorship, Web3 is for you. That's the pitch.
Reborning in the new ecosystem. My man, I absolutely enjoyed the way how you handle it. It's definitely sold, at least for me. I know that we have a couple of events later this year, for example, London, where we're finally meeting in person. Perhaps we're gonna come up with something interesting from content creation wise there. Let my audience know what are the next events, conferences that you and NFT and Chill are part of.
Yeah, awesome. So November 28th and 30th in Miami, Florida is one of the biggest Web3 events of the year. It's called DecentralCon Miami, and it's during Art Basel Week. That's going to be a huge thing. I'm going to be one of the speakers on stage for that event, which I'm super excited about. DecentralCon puts on some of my most favorite conferences and events in the space. So yeah, that is, if you're going to that or you're thinking about going to that, I definitely would love to connect. But that's going to be huge and it's going to be really awesome. Like every brand, company, thought leader, that's the place to be at the end of November. So that's what I have right now. So yeah, if and NFT and Chill comes out every Monday. You can get it on any podcast platform. And yeah, we'd love for you to follow us on our socials. We do a lot of educational content. And yeah, if you're following me and you're in the space, I definitely follow you back. But yeah, I'm always posting about what I have going on. These Twitter spaces with certain, organizations. I do a lot of co-hosting of spaces. So yeah.
Ty, my man, it has been a truly pleasure to connect with you here today. You handled this, almost an hour with a half chatting nonstop about all things Web3. And I do believe it would be much easier if there would be one specialty niche of yours, but it is much more interesting for you to be everywhere, being connected with everyone. So I absolutely enjoyed connecting here today. I know that we're going to continue our conversation next time already on your podcast, where I'm going to share my expertise from the about the space, and I'll be waiting for your spicy questions. Other than that, I'm really happy that I'm connected with builder and advocate such as you are. I'm happy that we're finally meeting in person in a couple of months from now. And I will definitely love to see you on my podcast later next year to just revise what you have said today and see what of these things have already been accomplished, what of these things are still uh, some lucid dreams of ours. Let's put it like this. Uh, Once again, it's been a pleasure. I hope that my audience also enjoyed connecting with you for those who didn't know you or learning a bit more if they've been already following. So please follow Ty on Twitter, all other social media. He's extremely active with NFT and Chill on all possible podcast platforms. Definitely give him some props if you see him in real life or online. He's a cool guy to be around. I'm happy to end our episode here on a positive note. Web3 is the future, and we are here building this future by us, by people, for you, for people. So I'm happy to see everyone at We in Web3 podcast. Definitely, if you enjoyed the episode, let me know. I'm active on Twitter, so feel free to follow and have a conversation there. Also, spread, like, retweet, comment if you enjoyed the episode. I do believe that me and Ty gonna answer all your questions after that. Other than that, I see all of you next on Ty's podcast, and have a lovely end of the week, all of you. And once again, thank you, my man, for coming here. It was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a real pleasure, and I appreciate everything you're doing in Web3. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. See ya.